Welcome out to the planning meeting for January 16th. First item on the agenda is public comment concerning any issue not on the agenda. Is there any public comment tonight? Who has an item on the agenda? Okay. That will take us to item number 2, the web property. Is Susan coming? She's
ill.
It's going around. Going around. Okay.
I don't either.
Is there any additional information that you need to give to the commission?
No.
Okay. We have information, we've had the packet, it's gone to the council, they sent it back for a second look from the planning. Has everybody had a chance to review their packets? Is there any discussion on the packet?
I'm confused on the descriptions as I go through the warranty deeds. They're different. The words are different. Some use rods, some use feet. Are those synonymous, rods and feet?
There's a translation of rods to feet, but I wouldn't dare be your interpreter.
Yeah, no.
I think that, were you gonna have the engineer look at that?
We did not have the
Did you have
engineer
that
look at it. Nope, we didn't.
We had, the title company that's handling this, their title searcher actually pulled all those and provided, and said that they were all applicable to those parcels.
Okay. And those parcels were the one or the two?
There's actually 3
There's
parcels
actually
in
3,
question.
because there's that little one
There's
right
a little
behind the
sliver,
homes.
that's right,
I forgot to put my picture.
yeah.
Anyway, okay, so those descriptions are all 3 of those lots, or are they mainly, or
They were supposed to encompass all 3 of those lots,
what we'll call lots for now?
parcels, I guess is the proper term, all 3 of those parcels.
Okay.
So Pam, a rod is 16 and a half feet,
16 and a half
just to
feet?
make it easy.
Yeah, I
That's the-
think we Googled it
Good
last time
knowledge.
just to make certain,
That's the right
but.
thing, 'cause I couldn't remember for sure.
We should learn those things, okay. I was just kind of confused when it was passed around with the terminology and things.
Yeah.
Eric, why was it the town council wanted us to look at this again? What were they asking us to look at?
Well, there were some additional things that was submitted at the council when it went before the council. There was the second packet came, and so they wanted us to get that packet, go over that packet. They think 7 mines are better than 5.
Well, isn't the issue here just access to the property as far as trying to get a lot that is buildable for the web?
That's, yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And we approved this lot with 36 feet,
32.
32 feet, and we recommended to the town council that they look at that as one lot and approve it. And then they've sent it back again.
Yeah.
So we're looking at all these warranty needs, and I mean, it's really tough to figure out how they tie in and what's going on, but we're not really that interested in what's going on with these 3 properties, other than the access to 3,000 South.
What it was is, we were trying to determine if it was a lot of record at the time. And it appeared that it was, but as we looked closer, there have been 2 pieces with frontage that have been split off at some point after that, which we don't know when still, that I'm aware of. And so we're here, we've got to follow what the code is as far as going, so as far as saying whether it's buildable or not. And so now, you know, we're looking at that 1940, whatever date it was, as that was before zoning, but it's been split a few times after that. And so we were trying to figure out, you know, exactly what's happened, when did that split take place. But you're right, the easiest way to solve this would be to find enough frontage to be able to put the road in. That would solve it totally.
And I think they've tried that.
We have, unfortunately.
Have exhausted their efforts.
We've exhausted our efforts.
But it's not really a road.
It's a driveway.
Driveway.
into the property, doesn't go
Yeah.
anywhere else.
I mean, your road,
So how can you
your
call that a road?
thing into your house came as a driveway, right?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. That's
We
all
put
it
one
is.
house and one, and
One
then we put
driveway.
a house and barn back there, so it's each driveway.
It's just this driveway, it doesn't go anywhere else from now.
And I don't disagree, but we're kind of stuck with what the code says.
That's a problem.
If it was a lot of record back before zoning, then it would happen, but it doesn't appear that it was. And so now the only way I know of would be to go to the council and say, change the code. And whether they would do that or not, or, I don't know, are there other options?
That's pretty much it. I mean, you could get a variance maybe.
Yeah,
You could apply for a variance, that's, those 5 criterias are hard to hit for a variance, so. Yeah, I mean, that is the answer to get the frontage, but. So there's actually 2 issues. If it is deemed a lot, then we have, when they come in for a building permit, we're gonna be up here with the same issue. Because now we can't issue a permit without the frontage.
right.
So it becomes, that issue raises itself again and again as we go through the process.
So it's good that we, well, these go back even further.
Isn't there one clear back in 1903?
Yeah, but the question is when those last splits took place, is that the way the county code read? And I have no idea.
Yeah.
So then why is your grandfather in then?
What's that?
If you don't know what's going on here, how come it's not grandfathered in if it was back in 1903, 1940?
And
This
before,
shouldn't be
before the
questioned.
township was.
So here's how that works. The burden of proof is on the applicant. And so if you could prove that that was the case, and to the commission's satisfaction, then they would grant it. That's why you guys submitted all these papers, is for the proof that it's grandfathered in. And that those lots were split in the time frame before the county code was enforced. We don't have that, we don't know when it was split.
So then when you go back to the grandfather in, because you don't have those dates,
No,
And you
the
can't
lot
pull
has
it.
changed. The lot, if it was sitting the same as it was in 1909, or whenever we go back to, it probably wouldn't be a question. The question is the lot, the legal description has changed since
How
then.
about 1977, because that's when my dad bought it.
It has not changed.
And I know it hasn't changed since then.
Right,
And that's
but it wasn't a lot when he bought it, right?
Just like it is now.
I mean,
Like it is now.
did they
Yeah.
call it that then?
So it's a
Yeah.
parcel.
well, so a parcel.
So if it
Yeah.
It's got a
met,
driveway to the parcel, it's like you've got a driveway.
if
it's
it
got a
met the
driveway.
code in 1977, then it'd still be okay, but I'm pretty sure that in 1977, the code was 200 feet in frontage.
It was actually 300 feet.
Was it 300
Yeah,
then?
we had 300 feet then. So, and then when we became a town, it was 200 feet. In 2000, the county went to 200 feet. We became a town in 2006, I believe in 2008, that was changed to 100 feet.
But why, if it's just one house and it's a driveway, why does it have to be 100 feet? When there's letters from the fire department saying, it's stating it's okay for that allotment.
Their letter stating it's okay for an access for the fire department, that's what they're,
Yes,
what
but
the
it's a
town is.
driveway. It's
Right.
not a road for you guys to maintain. It's a road to a house.
Right.
A driveway to a house. How wide is your driveway?
The front of my place is 200 feet wide, so,
Well, that's because you've got it all frontally opened, right?
no, that's what we're talking about. The lot has to butt a road for 100 feet. That's what we're talking about here tonight. That's what makes it a lot. One of the factors that makes it a lot, I should say.
Didn't somebody over in the city here said if there wasn't that township out there, that they would have already called them on a record?
Yeah, we did. County, Travis, put that in the letter. But it's not the county.
Well, I realize that.
So that's where the issue
Well-
You
becomes.
know, you guys are asking us to take a piece of property and make it have its value because of something that is written down. It isn't gonna affect anybody and it's gonna look beautiful when it's done. It's,
I
It's
totally,
words.
I understand
It's
where you're
words.
coming from, however, the code states different, and we're bound by the code. This board is definitely bound by the court, by the code. The council has the ability to change that. This commission can't change the code. They can make a recommendation to change it, but they can't change it. I think that's the whole.
We did make a recommendation to accept 36 feet, and send it to the town council.
We made a recommendation based on that we thought that it was a lot of record, but it was, there
And
was
that was
more
a mistake.
information afterwards.
And it was a mistake.
And so the council sent it back to us.
For you guys to decide.
Yeah,
So,
because that description from, I believe, 1943 included Grant Casper's lot and I believe where Clay Carlisle's house and Bud Jacobson's house.
Yeah,
Those were part of that.
Jacobson was in part of that parcel.
so the only recommendation we can make to the council is if they want to change the code or make it.
Well, that's really up to the applicant if they want to change the code. What we're looking at here tonight is the application that they've submitted of will we honor that lot of record? That's what they're asking in their application. So that makes it really fairly simple for this board. Either you're going to accept it or you're not.
Yeah, and at this point, we would not. But see, here's the thing. As commissioners, and if we go to our training and do different things for what we're supposed to, we're really supposed to do everything in our power to work with all the citizens in the town. But when it comes up and abuts code, then it gets to be really complicated. And to change code, if we make an exception for you guys, then that stands for everybody else that comes in. And all of these codes are put in place really to protect the town as a whole and all the citizens. So we do try to do our best to accommodate everybody. But I think we're up against the wall in this one, I do.
Yeah, because we really can't, I mean, there has to be a public hearing to change the code and, yeah, it's kind of out of our hands. Unless, I guess the only other thing that we could deal with is if you could find out that that final piece of ground that shows on the legal description now is, or was, within the zoning laws of the county at the time it was created.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that was 1977 or whether that was before that. Because I know, you know, that's when it was purchased, was 1977. I imagine that like Grant Casper's lot was split out long before that. And that could have actually been done right after, you know, the 1943 date. So I think that's what we really need to know is when did it become that piece that it is now? You know, when all the splitting was done.
Okay, you can find that out. I mean, if you don't have a record of it, how are you gonna find that out?
Well,
It just
somehow,
sounds like everybody's just beating against the wall
Well,
right
you-
here, right now, nobody's making a
You'd have to
decision,
go look
nobody's
at
moving
those-
forward.
you'd
And
have to
it's
go,
wasting a lot of people's
I know
time.
it's wasting time. But I'm saying you'd have to go back and look at those lots that were split off and research those back and find out what year those were split off. And what the county zoning was when it ended up in its final form.
Was that, you guys know, was that done after Blaine bought it? Or prior to when he bought
Well,
it?
it had to be prior
It was
because,
prior?
because
For Grant and the other, what's the other one, Jacobson?
I think it was Jacobson's, I haven't seen it with the picture.
Bob Harrison before that.
We just don't know when those two parcels were sold off of it. Yeah, that's,
Who could help these folks? This would be somebody that does title searches.
well, you almost have to go back to those property owners and search it that way and see when that was in, when it became a law.
Because that lot should have that
Right.
recording when they bought it.
Because that's what they've done with you, with the packet that you have. They went back and searched those, this legal description on that lot. So you'd almost have to do that, get Grant's lot, and then go back and see when it was created. The same thing with the Jacobson.
Basically find out, you've got that 1943 description and overlay the current one over that and find out when the lots were split off, or find out which pieces were split off, and then go research those lots. Now, I know there's some boundary line adjustments, and I don't think those really matter, because I was just trying to square things up with the neighbors. And that, you know, that's gonna show a little bit of movement here and there.
Yeah.
At least I wouldn't be concerned about that, but I would wanna know at least those two pieces that had all the frontage that were split off.
So if you found that out, then you'd be able to look at the county code and find out what the frontage requirements were at that point. And that would tell you whether it was a legal lot.
Yeah. Either find out if it was done before zoning was required in the county, or, you know, did it meet the requirements? And I think, you know, there's a chance that it might, and then, at that point, I think, we've said if we can do it without ignoring the law, then I think this group, you know, showed last time they're willing to do that.
Okay.
We just got schooled a little bit at how closely we need to read some of the information, and it's, you know, it's not easy for anybody.
All right, so how do you want to move on this application?
Make a motion to the council to deny.
I guess I'd ask what you want to do. You want to go research again, and we'll just continue it to the next meeting?
So is there anything else that needs to be done so that they can have it all done in one meeting instead of, this has been going on for 2-3 months now? Finally decide what you want done so they can get it finished up for this community.
For everybody.
Yeah, because this is getting to be beyond,
Again,
it's more of a game,
yeah,
sorry.
but it depends on what you bring.
Yeah, but if you would tell us what you needed,
You can bring it.
we could bring it and we could have it done. But no, okay, let's get a map. Okay, they bring the maps. Oh, let's bring this in. They bring that in. It's okay. So if that's what you need, finalize what you guys need so they can get it done and bring it in and get it over with.
Okay, planning commission, is that what you need?
We need more information, so I guess we need
Well, what we
the,
need
Well,
is the
the
correct
information.
information.
Correct
We don't just
information.
need more information, we don't need to be inundated with paper. What we need is evidence that this lot was not created unbuildable at a time when there was zoning. So if this lot was chopped up without going through proper channels, without leaving proper access to this lot, then there's nothing we can do. If you can find evidence that this lot was legally divided and that there's adequate access, then we'd be happy to enforce the code. But we don't just need more paper, we need evidence of that information.
Okay.
And there is such thing as an unbuildable lot. It is possible for people to create a lot that cannot be built because of lot lines, because of water, because of topography, whatever. People in this valley have created unbuildable lots. Hopefully, that's not your situation. So your choice is to present that kind of information to the council next month, or to, well, the commission.
Yeah.
Or to withdraw your application and talk to the council about variances and what's possible, but they're gonna ask you to present that same information. You have to have frontage, you have to have access. That's
We
it.
could,
and a legal lot of record.
we could also send it on to the council with a recommendation tonight. And they may send it back again.
They'll send it back.
I don't know.
We don't want to do that. Let's do this.
So do you want us to continue it? Is that what you're asking the commission to
We'll
do?
continue it until if we need to get an attorney. I don't know what else that we need to do.
Well, that's fine too. I mean, if that's where you're at, you'd be ready for us to vote on it and you get an attorney, we're ready to do that.
No, well, now, don't get.
I'm just saying, because once you say attorney, then negotiations are done with the town. Then the attorneys talk. So you have to be careful when you say attorney, because then the attorneys handle
Let's get
it.
this done and then we'll
Okay,
go from there.
that's what I'm asking you. What do you want? What do you want?
That's what I just wanna.
See if we can.
You want to continue it to the next meeting? Okay. Entertain a motion from the commission?
I'll make a motion to continue this item to the next meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to continue. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. You get that, Carrie? Okay, any discussion on the motion? Done? Call for the vote, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, this will show up on our next agenda next month, the third Wednesday, whatever that is. Let's
And
find
just
out.
one comment, if you have any questions about what it is you're finding, or what, if you found what you need to find, run it past him before the meeting, and say, look, we found this, it's this data, it's this access, it's this, is that enough? And then we won't come here and have you go up. So you'll have time to find it.
So that'll be the 20th of February. Okay? And then we'll look at what they bring, and you'll be able to weigh out and see what we can find
We'll
out.
find all that information and we can
Yeah,
check it.
great.
Awesome, okay.
Yeah, and the other thing I just want to say is I pulled that 1943 date out of the state website. That's when all the counties in Utah were supposed to have started to enforce zoning. I don't know if that's the case, so that might be another thing to look at. Did Wasatch County really not start doing zoning until 1950 or 1950? I don't know. But that might be a way to know.
So the legal description as it sits now has changed since the lots were split off of it.
See, that used to be one great big lot, went clear over to Little Sweeten Road there.
Right, that's what we're talking about, Lloyd, or Jacobson piece.
Lloyd bought that one, 25 acres, I think, something like that. And he sold the 15 acres off.
Oh,
That's how it worked.
so when did that happen, do we know?
1940 something,
See, and that's what you'll be looking at, is when those were split off.
because he
Yeah.
bought it from my grandma's grandpa.
That's how it worked.
And they shook hands.
Yep,
And then Lloyd sold it after that, I can't remember, I remember seeing it. He sold somebody else the 15 acres. And then the 15 acres went from there to our family.
yep. Yeah, that's how they used to do it, they just sell it, and I mean, that's how it worked. Unfortunately, and we've come a long way since then, and now it's trying to fit all this into the same box, so. Super, okay, we'll see you guys on 20th then.
Good luck.
Thank you guys.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Troy Anderson, I don't see him here tonight. So they took we accepted the application, they went to see what they could get as far as sewer from Heber City, and whatever other things that they're looking at utility-wise and access, and working with the property owners.
Okay, so they were working with the homeowners association.
It sounds like that's where it's
Well, they
going.
called
Oh, okay.
and I've talked with different gentlemen and,
Okay.
So they obviously don't have everything done, or they'd be back here tonight asking us to do something. So,
How about the gentleman that was here that had property that was concerning Punson Road? 40?
Okay.
What was his name?
Sure.
He definitely needed to work with Heber City and
Shelton.
Oh,
Shelton.
Ken Shelton.
Kent Shelton,
Yeah.
yeah, it was Kent Shelton.
okay.
Yeah.
So he's a player in this still, isn't he?
He owns that whole piece there where the, that outlet mall is on 40, they own that.
And over to
Well,
the
he's definitely.
And over to the,
Ranger Station.
Heber's talking about extending the road on his property, and so that's something he's gonna have to look at.
When he has a piece of paper that says that he has some kind of agreement with Heber City about that situation. I don't know what that agreement is, but because he got incorporated into Heber, he kind of indicated he wasn't interested in that, so Heber said, we're gonna incorporate that side of 40, and we'll give you this. This being some agreement with Heber City.
right. And so I have actually found a map from 1977 that shows their easement
Is the
for Heber
town,
City up that road.
the town of Daniel was not in favor of that road continuing over to 40. Is that on record, council meeting?
Which road?
Well, the one that goes by the school, north,
Just the opposite, we was way in favor of that.
way in favor.
Yeah, in fact, our UDOT agreement put that in as one of the four-way intersections that line up
Little
408.
Sweeten.
Yep, and then one on Mill Road.
but lining those all up.
Right. So they would, in the future, could be signalized. So that's in our UDOT agreement. And we actually went to Heber City and said, this is your chance. The school's getting ready to build. This is when you're holding the cards. We didn't have any cards to hold.
It's not all in down Daniel.
Well, the school is, but,
Well, but the road is not.
right. So we're just like, you got the cards, and they didn't do anything. So now the church is here, it's back on the plate again, so.
The last word on when UDOT, I don't know what word to use, hope to punch through on that road is a total unknown date to us,
UDOT will not punch the road.
but
Heber City will have to do it.
Heber City.
They don't, until you hit the UDOT right away, it's not a UDOT road.
Okay, so Heber City would initiate that and then discuss it with UDOT and then make the appropriate.
Right. And usually if you have 2 or 3 developers along there, everybody kicks in and they do the road. Because this is what
Yeah,
you need to
Mr.
do.
Sheldon was in favor of it, as long as they're paying for it. He's not paying for it, he's not giving up all his land.
Yeah.
Well, but don't they, doesn't someone have to buy his property?
Well, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's only fair.
yeah, but he doesn't care. I mean, if it goes through, he just.
Yeah.
Right,
He actually wants it to go through,
he
he just
just-
doesn't want to have to pay
He
for
don't
it.
have to give up his land for
Yeah.
free.
But he gets his land paid for, and then he gets the improvements.
Yeah, they'll have to work it out,
Yeah, right.
however they do it.
Yeah, whatever agreement they had in the past, but I did see it on a map in 1977, that the township planning board was working through the county with, so that was before it was in Heber City.
So has the LDS
And what's that
Church
stand
asked us to continue this? Is that what they're doing? Are
The-
they asking us to continue their application?
Yeah, we accepted their application, so it moves through the process now.
Okay, good.
So that's what it does. It will show up on the agenda until we make a decision.
Until they do the things they have to do with homeowners association, Heber City and everything, so.
I have a question, because I'm being approached by a lot of people and I don't know how to answer them.
Perfect.
Well, no, I'm hoping I can get clarification, because I'm getting asked, isn't that a Daniel Road?
What is a Daniel Road? Rainbow Way, or whatever it's called?
Yeah, going down through there is a Daniel Road.
Going down through
Isn't
where?
it the town's road?
On
Not-
Ranch or?
Not
Weaver
north
Park?
of the school.
In front of the school.
No,
Which one
no,
is
the
it?
one, doesn't this,
Ranch
the,
Drive, are you talking
Yeah.
about Ranch Drive? Okay.
Yeah.
that
That
drives
is a
down?
Daniel Road.
Yeah.
So citizens are asking why we can't use that road.
They can use the road.
So
They
that's
drive
what,
down the road to the dead end and turn around and go back out.
but that's what they're saying. Why, who's made the, how did they get it so it's not a dead end road? I said, come to meetings. I don't know. I said, I assume it's a Daniel Town road.
It is.
That they plow it. And you know, and I've had some people say, well, when we drive down it, we get stopped and told we can't come down this road. And I was like, tell them it's a public road.
It is a public road.
You know, so I'm just wondering, how do I answer these people when
It's
they're
a
asking
public
me?
road, but it ends before it gets to the school.
Because
It's a
I mean,
dead end
I know
road.
that people have asked about the church. They've heard the church is going in and they want to see, you know, are we gonna be able to get there? I don't know. Come to the meetings. I think you have to have a public hearing, right, that people can come
You
out
can
and,
definitely parachute in.
yeah, that's right. Well, I just don't know how to answer these people and I don't want to say
Yeah,
something that's
It's still
wrong.
preliminary, we wouldn't have an answer for that either way.
So just tell 'em to
It was supposed to
come.
be a ranchette.
To just come to public
Not a-
hearings.
not a
There will be a
church or
public
school.
hearing on this?
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah, there
that's,
will have a public meeting. Well, all of them are public meetings, whether it's a hearing or not. If they come, they're able to talk about it, so it doesn't have to be at a hearing. We're more user-friendly than that.
okay.
So that if they just come, they'll be heard. I mean, we just talk to everybody about anything on the
Okay,
agenda, so.
well, I don't know what to tell them. I'm just like,
You can tell them it's a Daniel
The
Road,
horses
it's
can enter
public.
from Ranch
It has been
Drive,
closed
people have
legally.
to enter from the other side.
but it can be open
It's
if
been
enough
closed
people,
legally.
if enough people come and
I don't know how
it could
that
be
works.
open.
It's closed legally.
Ranch Road is closed, well, the end of
It's a
it,
cul-de-sac.
yeah.
The end of it, it's a cul-de-sac.
Well, it's because it runs into Heber City and there's not.
It does run into Heber City.
It doesn't pay Daniels anymore,
It
so.
becomes somebody else's road, but it was closed legally in, I don't don't know what the date was.
Yeah, but there's maps and everything.
There's maps, it's all been recorded.
Yeah.
But that's just a little information you could give them.
Okay.
The road's open, but it does not extend into Heber City.
Because there are 3 building lots on that cul-de-sac, right?
Well,
Two.
not anymore. The church is proposing the one, and the other 2 are owned by the school.
So then there would be 1, 2, 3 more to build on, correct?
There's 3 more to
Oh,
the
lots
south.
in the subdivision, you mean?
And every time one of these entities takes it over, we don't make any taxes on churches and schools, so.
That's right. We have a couple of
So
lots in the
keep
town
them
we
coming.
own that has no revenue.
Big industrials, yeah.
But, I mean, Greenbelt's not that far off anyway, so. I think when we did the Bingley thing, I think they said that their tax was $157 on Greenbelt for that whole piece.
It's not very much.
That was quite qualifying, is it?
I was surprised when I saw that. I was very surprised.
Oh, isn't that the town of Charleston?
It is now. Yep.
Yeah, one of these days the counties can make people actually qualify for that.
Yeah, and they've actually started, if you have weed problem on your property,
Weeds, is that what you said?
weeds, and you don't address it, that's how they're enforcing it. They're taking you off of the green belt. And so,
Ooh, that's how they're gonna enforce it.
that's how they're enforcing it right now, is if you have a weed problem, they've notified you and you fail to act,
It's
they're
not,
taking it off the green
it's no
belt.
longer cultivated land.
Yep.
And if you want a real thriller, the Wave newspaper that just came out today, you want to look in the legal section, and it talks about the county and weed control and names all these different noxious weeds and groups them in A, B, and C. And I mean, there's plants in there that I've never ever heard of, but they're in this valley.
Yep.
They're
And then there's
around.
others that aren't, and
Yeah.
they don't want them here. And then there's the others that we all know we all have.
So if you have some of these weeds, they can take you off the green belt if you don't take care of them. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how we found sulfur cinquefoil.
See, there's one of those
Sulfur
things.
Never heard of it.
Really? Looks like a strawberry plant, has a little yellow flower. And it is so poisonous and so I mean, it just,
I've been waiting for
and they
the
said it's not
strawberry.
in Wasatch County. What's this then? Okay, it's in the county.
Yeah, I can't, they show me the pictures, and they'll say, this is the good one, and this is the bad one, I'm like,
Yeah.
they look the same.
I'm sure that if they took you off of Greenbelt, that's not one of the requirements actually in the state law. You could get it back on, but you have to prove that it's cultivated and that you're producing a certain amount of,
Bona fide agricultural.
yeah, and nobody
You can't-
has to do
You
that.
can't grow noxious weeds.
Well,
For
they
research.
may be mixed in your crop,
Yeah.
but you better be trying.
Yep.
I was
You're
told
waiting
my-
for
Are we
it's
talking
qualified
attorneys
agriculture.
here?
Well, this is the reason that when we issue a building permit, we require them to have a weed plan. And so we know that they're doing something. And so you remember the Bennett house, I actually did a stop work order on there, because we went up there and all of a sudden, wow, look at these noxious weeds. And it appeared nothing was getting done, so we issued a stop work order. And once you find out what it is, it's the same thing, you know, you don't know what it is, it's a little yellow flower. Oh, wow, this is a nasty little flower. Yeah, it's if you know weeds, ruins the wildflowers for you the rest of your life.
There's, on the full page of the newspaper, that takes up a good 40% of it, just naming the weeds and what category they're in.
Well, maybe the way you can stay in business for another year.
Wow.
The funny part about that is that they put that on the front, but last year they cut the weed budget $16,000.
16,000.
Yeah, and they're,
That'd be
what,
half the budget.
what happened here? They didn't, I guess it wasn't on anybody's mind, so. I pointed that out in the meeting and they're like, what? We did?
That means we won't get our spray from the county.
Well, that's under a grant.
Grant, this way is.
Yeah, it's a grant. As long as you're reporting back that what you're spraying, that grant will continue. The second that they give us this much poison and that much acreage isn't being sprayed, that's when that will be scaled back.
Just kind of a personal question, and you're the weed control guy in town.
I'm not, come waters.
No, John.
Oh.
Okay, but you have knowledge probably of some of these weeds.
Right.
Does-
Rancher, yeah.
Does the weed master take most of the the real noxious weeds out?
Only if they're broadleaf.
Spot spray with Roundup, you'll be a lot better off.
Yeah, but it kills your hay, kills the grasses.
Yeah, and
I
then the
said
weeds
spot
take
spray.
advantage.
Then the weeds take advantage of it.
They
So I
come into
said
the
spot
dead
spray.
Now you're back to a gallon.
So like I've had a poisonous hemlock plant in the back of mine
Okay.
for 15 years. I think I finally got rid of it last year, but it wasn't there, but.
Yeah, when I filled in that ditch in my field, it came up every year.
Exactly, that's where it is just gonna kill it.
Yep. Yes,
Can I make a public comment?
you bet.
Speaking of generating revenue for the town of Daniel, hopefully that'll start me off on
Oh, cool.
a good
Wow.
right foot. So my partner Dennis came in September of 2018. We own the property between Little Sweden and Duke Lane.
Mhm.
And we have posted a disconnection notice with the town of Independence in order to annex into
Yeah, I
the
saw
town
that
of
on
Daniel.
the paper.
And so I wasn't able to attend that meeting, so I'm here tonight just because I don't know anybody here. I just want to get a sense for how the town of Daniel feels about that, because we'd be, obviously wanting to join you guys. And then secondly, I noticed from the minutes in September, there's some discussion about a zone change along Highway 40. Can you guys tell me about that?
For the commercial area.
Right.
So two of those we've had two applications that have been approved for commercial on the highway corridor. Our general plan speaks to that also,
Okay.
about the highway corridors.
So our piece, is mostly on Little Sweden, but there's one little, but it's 20 feet away from Highway 40.
Right.
So what we had kind of temporarily proposed, or just preliminarily proposed, was, hey, here's a section of 9 or 10 acres that is not adjacent to, but essentially adjacent to Highway 40. And then we do some 6-acre lots and then some 1-acre lots along one cul-de-sac kind of behind that.
Right.
And my partner's impression was, boy, the town of Daniel are the nicest people in the world. They will welcome us in with open arms into their town with our 1-acre lot proposal. And then as I read through the minutes, a lot of the comments were like, no, we kind of like your 5-acre lot proposal. So how does that zoning, again, back to the zoning question, how does that work on Highway 40? Do you have to actually be adjacent to it, or is there kind of a stretch of?
Well, it's application driven.
Uh-huh.
So it's really if somebody applies. Let me give you a picture because it's worth $1,000.
Sure is.
Lots,
So this is the official map, zoning map for the town of Daniel. So you're talking over here.
Yeah.
So you'll see the commercial along this corridor. And now we've had this one and this one right here are commercial. These two. Yeah, that one and that one. So those have been approved commercial. And so, and you'll notice this purple. The purple is R1 zoning. This is our RA5. So these are 5-acre lots. These are 1. So that's us right here. Right. Yeah, you're just on this corner. And so when Dennis came, he showed us commercial in front, there's residential on the back, and then of course we told him to go talk to, we thought it was Tracy, that one house that's right there.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe he would come in with you so he wasn't leaving a island. Right. And so that's what that was.
And
So,
we'd be happy to talk, I'm sure that Tracy, I don't know Tracy, but
yeah.
they're just,
I just noticed that Tracy's on the Independence Planning Commission.
Is he?
Yeah.
oh, maybe
I
Tracy.
was reading through something I saw on all the commissioners or all the county, and he was like,
So, we would do a mix of the R1 versus RA5. But, so would we be able to get some RA1 in this area?
I think it was application driven, but it seemed to be,
We have some heartburn with one, just
Yep.
because we haven't gone there really yet, other than that one piece that kind of came in that way.
And then, but
grandfather.
But I don't think
There was-
anyone said absolutely not either.
there was some discussion that maybe if it could stay on the east side of Highway 40 maybe, or something like that.
because I think that's where Matt Green's piece is, the other 80 acres you guys were talking about with the the water tower and everything on Matt's piece?
Yeah, yep, further up the canyon.
Yeah, because I think he wants to do, is this his then? No, he's not in your town.
No, he's right above us here, so,
There,
yep.
yeah. And so, yeah, if you keep it all on the east side. So I guess, you know, before we get too far down the road of moving over, and then we can't do what we want to do anyway, so what do you suggest? Should we submit a preliminary plat of what we want to do and have Epic Engineering draw it up and let everyone take a look at it? Because again, we don't want to move jurisdictions if we're still in the same boat, you know?
Yeah, we really wouldn't be able to, I mean, I think Dennis was pretty, didn't he come back and report they was favorable to what you guys had proposed?
Other than he thought that there was one individual, I don't know who, that had the heartburn regarding the 5 acres. And I read the minutes and it's like, no, about half the council had some heartburn and wanted to stay 5 acres. And we're happy to do, because there's one section that as Duke Lane turns, then we've got a big piece kind of out here, right in the middle. Well, that sure makes sense to kind of keep it 6 acres, because you really don't want to have to bring utilities and everything out to it. I mean, bring utilities, but, you know, roads and so forth. And so that's why it would be about, of the 20, roughly 27 acres, we were thinking 11 acres plus the cul-de-sac, so maybe 12 and a half acres of doing RA1, you know, some 1 acre lots. And then a 6 acre parcel, that puts us at 18. And then the balance, 9 acres or so, along that Highway 40 is some commercial. And commercial in our mind is, I mean, it's gonna look nice. You know, there's a piece, if you guys are familiar in Midway with the Watts development, they did some, they call it the Granary. I don't know if you've seen it right on Main Street. It's a nice looking, at first I didn't think it was gonna be a nice looking building. It is now a nice looking building right on Main Street. They have offices on the base and some apartments on top. But it looks nice because it kind of fits in that residential area. So, again, those are kind of our thoughts, but
How would you handle sewer with 1 acre lots? Is that
and that's where we would pair with Mr. Green, who is planning to still do sewer all the way up to his piece on the east side.
So that's a good thing for the town of Daniel to have sewer come in.
Yeah, this site over here will be within that Twin Creek Special Service District that we talked about. That entire triangle down Mill Road, that's all part of that Special Service District already, so.
Would any of
Now,
that
is
fall
that
into
water
the
or is
moder-
that sewer? Sorry.
What it was?
Would any of that fall into the moderate income that we're looking for?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I should say that because it depends on what you build there.
Well, a 1 acre lot with a house is still 700,000.
Well, how,
That's if that's
Yeah.
low income, you know, maybe.
Or more, it could be,
a real nice
depending on the
house.
house.
Well, that was kind of our thought with the putting the apartments over the office. Was, boy, that's, Yeah, that sure is
You guys are the third or second entity to show up and want to disconnect from Independence and come into Daniel.
And then we got others that want to get out of Daniel.
Yeah. we
I know, I
got
saw
some.
2 on your guys' minutes doing the other thing.
But I think if my memory is right, that it seemed like the 5 acre lots were where a lot of the commissioners were standing on this subject last time we met.
I thought the whole cul-de-sac was all 1 acre lots.
They are.
Yeah.
And then the big piece out here was 6 acre lots.
Well, and you already have the 1 acre right here anyway.
Yeah, across the road is already 1 acre. They're already 5, but they are 1 acre lots.
Because they were grandfathered in?
Well,
That's how they were annexed in.
Okay.
You know, just as a comment, I remember talking to Heber City Planning Commission probably 8 years ago. And they says, you guys have got it made over in Daniel. And I said, how's that? And they says, all you have to deal with is 5 acre lots. I mean, yeah, it's sweet, it's simple, and then it's nice.
Well, but there's a difference between 1 acre lots and 10 houses on a 1 acre lot too.
That's true.
So does Daniel's code in the commercial allow for apartments above something like that? Or is that something that would have to be addressed in some code change, right?
I'm not sure on the commercial. We haven't done a lot of commercial here in the town, so.
So that's something to think about or look at too.
Add these little ones.
I'm here.
I was to a Heber City meeting last week. They were wanting to rewrite the C2 code, and it scared me.
They tried to rewrite the
So like,
code and
you know,
the
allow
voters
Yeah,
shot
about
it
a year
down.
and a half ago.
190 units.
Yeah, and the voters
about
shot it
4
down.
acres, and it's in that code with apartment building, or retail outlet below and apartments above.
That's
and
what's
it
all
just-
over behind Walmart.
Holy
Everything's
cow.
commercial on the bottom,
Yeah.
apartments
But
above.
this was
So
even
it's
see
more
what this
dense.
is.
occupied above and empty below.
This gentleman's trying to get some lead on that. We don't really know till we get public comment. Because we have public comment on this, and you might have everybody show up and say, we don't want it 1 acre.
For the new commercial that was approved, what do you allow in there in terms of, is it light industrial, is it office space only, is it storefront, is it,
There's a whole list of them.
yeah. So yes, to
Of
maybe
things.
all of those things.
Well, like, yeah, just like he says.
Whole
Doesn't
list.
go with industrial, but it is.
Storage units, if you dress them up nicely,
So storage units aren't allowed. The reason that those ones were built, because they're incidental to that business. So he's tied that in with the business. We're talking about the Peterson fee. He's tied them into the business. Some of those units come with the store. So he has 3 different commercial entities in that building, and they all come with some of those storage units. And so then he rents the rest out. So that's how he was able to build those, because they're incidental to his business.
One of those commercial pieces is a mechanic with a bunch of trucks.
that sounds aesthetically pleasing.
Depends on whether you want 5,000 neighbors or you want one neighbor with a few trucks.
It's kind of got that World War II look to me. Because of the shape of the building.
So I thought that was a pretty positive meeting. What do you commissioners? Yeah, I thought we just, it's like, go get out. That's
Like
the
Kim
first
said,
step.
we have to have public hearings, we have to listen to the public, and then go from there, but
Well, and there's the whole code. I mean, we just talked to those people that you've got to have adequate frontage, you've got to have, so it's all right to say, we got a 6-acre lot, we don't want to do too many roads. Well, you're going to have access to that
Yeah.
6-acre
Right.
lot.
The
and it's gotta be on
6 acre
a road built to
touches,
town standard.
yeah, I think you have a 100-foot wide frontage requirement, that's what I was listening in there, so there's 100 feet that we could certainly build right off of Duke Lane coming there. So I'm not worried about frontage to that one. We're just trying to kind of put a mix out there that sort of fits already with Town of Daniel, with sort of meeting our needs. If we're gonna stick 5-acre lots, there's no reason to leave Independence,
And
right?
as a developer, you run out, you spend $60,000, you go to all those meetings just to hear someone say no, or yes.
Right. Yeah, so we're just trying to get a
And you're trying to
sense.
save that 60 grand, that's fine.
I don't-
But I think there's a process here. Now you know as much as we do.
And if you're talking about dumping, so with 11 1-acres and a couple of 6 acres, you're talking about dumping, how many households is that onto Duke Lane?
Most would come on Little Sweden, because the cul-de-sac would come off of Little Sweden across the street from your existing 1-acre lots. The only thing coming off Duke would be either the one 6-acre lot or
So you're
none
talking
of
about Little Sweden on the east side of 40.
yeah.
or
It's also tiny.
3600 South, or
Yeah.
whatever you guys call it. Yeah, so that's
Those
where
are
the
good
cul-de-sac would
roads.
come off of. So Little Sweden, we could just kind of anticipate, we're gonna have to improve that if we're gonna put, 11 households and some light commercial and, and maybe at the end of the cul-de-sac, a driveway easement to reach the 6-acre, stay off of Duke Lane, not have to improve Duke Lane, leave it the county road that it is, and improve Little Sweden is kind of our thought. Does that
And-
sound reasonable?
Mhm. Not if I lived on Little Sweden. I mean, they're pretty quiet. It's a little quiet little street, and I think the idea of putting 12, 13 homes and some light commercial in their front yards is probably gonna cost some money.
I think that we won't be on the radar when they see what Independence is bringing down that road.
That's true. That's true.
We went to the meeting with the UDOT and they showed the entire Independence funneling down
Out
that
down
road.
Little Sweden.
Duke Lane?
It crosses Duke Lane, there's a tunnel that goes through the mountain.
Tunnel?
Yeah, and so most of that development is back further and all of that comes
So
down,
down through Gary Nordgren's front yard.
right down to Little Sweden, lines up with that intersection. So this is, if they're mad at Daniel, they should go to the other meeting.
Yeah.
They will be pleasantly surprised. was quite,
Is the fellow that's working with the town on the water tank area, is he anticipating sewer coming clear up to him?
Yes.
He's bringing sewer all the way up. So Matt Green is his name, and we're working hand in hand with the same attorney and disconnecting from Independence at the same time. So we're not partnering with them, we're working in conjunction with them.
Can I ask why you want to disconnect from Independence?
Well,
What are they not able to provide that you
they have no
desire?
services. They
No.
don't have water. You guys are gonna, you're figure out the water solution immediately. We could try to put 6 acre lots over there, 5, 6 acre lots over there, and we may not even be able to get well permits, depending on what that groundwater looks like when we get to the state, right? So they want us to improve, where that same house is on Duke Lane. They want us to widen Duke Lane on both sides and cut down all the trees on Little Sweden and Duke Lane so we can widen their road. For no reason. I mean, the trees is why we live, right? Like, we don't want to tear those down. So we've been working with them for 2 years and haven't got anything that makes feasible sense to us. And so, if we can switch over to Daniel in exchange for, hey, we can add to the cost of the sewer, like we can participate in the cost of bringing that sewer up with Matt Green, which I think helps fix your guys' problem with the leaching problem up a little further south.
yeah, further south, the closer that gets, it becomes viable to the town to hook into that sewer system.
Right, so there's already some conversation, I think, that, hey, if we're gonna bring it this far, you guys would potentially participate getting a little bit further, and then everybody wins, kind of in that scenario. The water, obviously, we're gonna, the tank and so forth, it's been in discussion, so that's why. So then if we can also have better flexibility on the use, now, Town of Independence's argument is, we're density friendly, and Daniel is not. And I'm like, well, okay, that's a great comment, except you have no services or utilities to back up that
For
statement.
your density.
Right, so we are part of the multi-use overlay zone within the Town of Independence general plan. But the provision within the ordinance indicates that you have to have the majority of the landowners also within that overlay zone participate before they'll sort of give you that overlay provision, right?
Wow.
So again, it's like I can't control the neighbors, so that's why we're here.
Are you favorable to go ahead with your development with some commercial, if I understand you right, and 5 acre lots, but no 1 acre lots?
Depends how big the commercial is and what we can do in the commercial, right? Like, it has to still pencil. But
So those,
I think the 1 acre made sense to us because we can do 1 acre in the Town of Independence, again, with the proper services. So we can go make a certain number of wells, hook into the sewer that Mr. Green's gonna bring in anyway, and go Independence. We can, that's still on the table.
And that is really the difference from the rest of the town is sewers available.
And water.
And
Yeah, so if sewer gets
there's
up that
water
road,
available.
you know the town, I don't know,
For the rest of the town has water available for the most part.
Yeah.
do these developers pay for the 10-inch water line all the way up to the tank? Do the developers pay
Which tank are we talking about?
the new tank?
The new tank?
Yeah,
No. They'll participate in that, but they won't pay that.
they won't pay at all. So they would be paying a hookup fee.
Yes.
You want to know what the hookup fee is?
$500,000.
He's gonna love you, isn't he? He's gonna love you.
So is this a new Daniel tank?
Yes.
Is this the one for Storm Haven also?
It is.
Okay.
Well, they're bidding out the well right now. Doing the well.
New, new tank on the.
And so if this happens, it'll be a bigger tank than what they planned probably.
But see, what everybody would try to convince the commissioners here is that this is the ideal spot for your commercial 1 acre lots. You can still have all your 5 acre lots in Old Town.
Old Town, I like.
Old Town.
I don't like that,
property
that
value.
sounds like we went over the hill.
We are.
I'm still looking for Old Town, or what looks like Old Town.
Yeah.
It looks like an agricultural area. not sure that the word town even
Yeah.
fits in.
So it's, with the 1 acre lots that are facing Little Sweden already and the RA one that's up higher,
This is
it
kind
seems to be that, yeah, that's the one Dennis brought.
Yeah.
Right, we just penciled it out, right? And so we can put 100 feet off of Duke Lane, or we can do an easement off of a cul-de-sac. These just kind of make sense. You already have 1 acre right here.
This is Duke Lane.
This is Duke Lane, and that's 3,600 Little Sweden. And that's why this one kind of makes sense. It's kind of off on its own. Duke Lane, of course, turns here. So this is literally just in the middle of some other parcels there.
How is this existing property, is he on board with that? Have you talked to him?
Is that Tracy?
Tracy's is on Big Lane.
Yeah.
Well, that might be right here.
So this is Duke
Oh,
Lane.
is that Duke Lane?
Yeah, this is
Oh,
Duke
okay.
Lane.
So he comes to the public.
Yeah, that was the map Dennis brought, and he says, well, what about this
Yeah.
triangle? Don't you want to bring him in with you?
Happy to, whatever Tracy wants, right? Whatever your orientation
And
is.
you're saying that from the minutes, what you read in this meeting and in the minutes, most of the commissioners were in favor of 5 acre lots rather than 1.
Correct.
I
And
see.
what Dennis heard was just the opposite. And so,
He heard 1 acre lots.
5 acre lots would be a lot easier.
That's a big difference.
1 acre lots, we're gonna hear a lot of comments, and we're gonna have to work through it and see whether it makes sense or not.
and that's the counter argument with independence, right? Is
5
that
acre
we're
lots
already
are
at 1
easier.
acre lots is what they say to us.
Yeah.
Well,
You
Have
say
you
they
got
could
your
grow some
answers?
crops on their 1 acre lots?
What I have is probably not on 1 acre lots. Probably yes on the commercial, but not necessarily any indication that will prove what we want done.
I don't know. It could be if you really engineered that, designed it, went through all the motions, you might get a vote and yes, approve.
I
So
think you gotta
That's what you're kind
definitely,
of saying, development
It's amazing.
specific.
Right.
So I'm just
Well,
talking for
I don't
one
know what
commissioner.
I haven't read the commercial code. I'm looking for residential in the commercial code. I don't know if our commercial code allows for residential.
no, I don't know about that.
I read it pretty close and I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't remember
We
seeing
have
that
it.
it's
I have to look through it. I wasn't looking for that either.
Residential.
Could have just
We
read
may as
through it
well
and
make it all
then-
commercial. That's what
I was looking.
Yeah, right when you turn that corner, those apartments are right in that commercial area.
Yeah, how many storage units can we fit in the whole town?
I don't know, they've started on the airport side working it.
I think Heber's heavy on autos and storage units.
Yep.
So I,
And we're not putting.
No, I know.
so I'm not hearing, am I hearing you guys stuck on 5 acres? I'm not hearing that.
I'm not.
You're not stuck on 5 acre lots in this, he's talking about, are you?
Not stuck on it,
It
maybe.
makes it
it's-
easier for us. It makes it
Is there a way that we can, like, use Old Town versus New Town, and we can say Highway 40 is a boundary and we don't?
Absolutely, that's where you put zoning, that's where the zoning areas are. That's your job, is to make those areas where the zone, where it makes sense. Where's your commercial going? Where's your industrial going? Where's RA going?
Oh, and where
Because
that,
otherwise people with RA5 say, wait, they're putting 1 acre lots, I don't want 1 acre lots in my neighborhood.
And we already have that in the town.
The
There's
public might come
But they were
in,
grandfathered, they're not new.
No, we have people on 5 acre lots that want to go to 1
Of
acre.
course we do.
Yeah.
Yes,
the public
I got
might
that part.
come in and say, we want the 1 acre lots south of Little Sweden all the way to the town boundary. Anything that's north of Little Sweden, we want 5 acre lots, or along Highway 40, we want commercial.
And that's
the public. I don't know what they're gonna say.
one of the other reasons for needing the frontage and the lot width and all those other things is to prevent people with 5 acre lots going to 1 acre lots. But where it makes sense on a new development that has sewer, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, that was the
Whether it's good or
reason that
bad.
RA5 came in, right? To
Right.
protect the groundwater. So that's what you're doing, is you're sending that water down. Now you don't have these septics, they're going through the sewer system and being treated.
Well, and I think there is some room for improvement up at the Storm Haven, Crazy Acre area that could fit into this somewhat.
Yeah, it's definitely a plus for the town on that
Yeah.
end.
But,
Get rid of that septic system.
Community septic system.
That's causing issues.
cesspool.
or will eventually.
Again, it was grandfathered in, that's
Sure.
that's what it was.
That's what it was.
Are we opening a door to allow sewer through another part of Daniels at this point?